Hello everyone, I'm Eric with Half Knife Will Travel, and thanks for joining us for yet another cooking class on Sunday. This Sunday happens to be Mother's Day, so we're going to cook pasta carbonara. To make Sunday easier, we're going to prep some things today. Pasta and cured egg yolk. To do that, we're just going to need flour, egg, salt. Alright, so let's cure an egg yolk. In order to cure an egg yolk, I'm just going to take a plate and some salt and layer salt on the plate, a little bit more than you would think. Then get your egg yolk. Carefully put the egg yolk on the salt, and then cover the egg yolk completely with salt so you can't see the egg yolk. Then store that into the refrigerator, and then Saturday night, throw it in the freezer. And now, let's make pasta. In front of us we have flour, egg, and salt. On the cutting board we have 1.25 cups of flour, 2 eggs, and salt. Just a little pinch of salt into your little volcano that you've made. And then crack 1 egg. And then crack another egg into the middle of your volcano. If it actually does become a volcano and eggs start spilling out, that's quite all right. And then take a fork and just whip your eggs together. This is a very traditional Italian way of doing it. You see plenty of pictures like this, but if you don't want to do it on a cutting board, it works just as well in a bowl. Unless you have an Italian grandmother, and then she's going to tell you to put it on the cutting board. So you're just whisking this all together until it starts to become thick, and slowly and naturally incorporating more flour. Make sure you get all the egg, and once you get to a part that it actually starts like sticking together, just make sure you get all of the stuff off the fork, and then we start using our fingers. We're just trying to get flour into the egg. Make sure, and move slowly so you don't get flour everywhere. The only thing that's gets flour more places than brunch is pasta making. Just incorporate flour into it. Start kneading it. Once it starts becoming thick, add more flour. You don't have to necessarily add all of this flour, so don't worry about that too much. You just want to keep doing this for approximately 10 minutes until the dough doesn't stick to your hand. And before you make the assumption that this is obviously not sticking to my hand, this is sticking to my hand. So the flour has to be incorporated all the way through. All right, so actually 4 minutes later for me, the dough is at no point sticking to my hand, which is good. And you can see that we have plenty of excess flour. That's okay. And the dough is elastic and glutinous and looks all the same, homogeneous. And we're just going to wrap that in plastic wrap, throw it into the refrigerator for 30 minutes. All right, now that our pasta dough has rested in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, we are going to cut it in half. Reserve 1 piece, and then wrap the other piece and put it into the refrigerator while we're doing this part. Secondly, we are going to lightly dust both the dough and the cutting board and press it kind of out flat in an oval shape. I don't have a pasta maker, but if you guys have a pasta maker, you want to do the same thing. because you're going to be feeding it, and it's, yeah, you want it in an oval. But if you're like me and don't have a pasta maker, get it in an oval and then start rolling it out. This is a bit of a lengthy process. I usually just flour the cutting board when you are rolling it, and then when your rolling pin starts to stick, just flip it over because you have a bunch of flour already there. And the general rule of thumb is you should be able to see your hand through the dough. That's how thin you want it. Careful with the end bits, because you're pressing so hard to actually roll it out that you could crush them. It's not going to ruin anything by any means, but you'll have a little bit less pasta, that's for sure. When you're rolling it by hand, the middle is always going to be the thinnest part, so once you start seeing it kind of like doing this bubble thing, you really want to get the ends. But if you're doing this with a pasta machine, you just start on the biggest setting, which is 1, and then put it through, and then just keep on increasing the settings to make it thinner and thinner and thinner. Let's give it a check here. Can't quite see it. Getting close though. Let's look at it now. Yes, you can actually see texture, but we'll do a little bit more because we need the outsides too. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's good. See, you can see your hand through it right here. So now that we have our pasta dough like this, we're going to start lengthwise, very loosely, just rolling it up. Okay. And then we are going just to cut it. Don't press down when you're cutting. Make sure you cut. This is wide. You can cut it however wide you want. Pappardelle is the big thick one. If you want to make it easy, do that. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change the cooking time. And then unroll it. Carefully. If you're a true pasta aficionado, 1, you're probably not watching this, but 2, you hang pasta to dry, or you can do what I'm going to do, but you always have to make sure you let your pasta dry just a little bit. And the reason for that is you do not want it to stick, because then it's less pasta and more a bulbous blob. There we go. All right. So everything is unraveled. Just dust it really quickly with some flour. And then very loosely put it together in your hand or on a plate, however you want to do it. You're just making what they call a nest. So make it loose And make sure that it doesn't all ball up so that the air can actually get in there. And now it's too much for my hand. So I'm just going to go like this. Put it in the plate. Make sure it's all nice and loose. Don't like crush anything delicate. And then we're going to put that in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes or up to 1 day. And then obviously you do the same thing with the other ball of dough that we did. All right, we're all finished with prep for Sunday. Join us at 5. Don't forget to put your cured egg yolk, just as it is, into the freezer the night before. And your pasta is going to need anywhere from 30 minutes to 24 hours. So that's your window to make it between now and Sunday. And we'll see you then.